For me, I'm native Dutch, immigrated to Montreal in 2004. Part of my Dutch heritage is celebrating Queen's Day, well now King's Day. So it's part to be able to mingle with Dutch people as well, or have a Dutch heritage,
right,
and feel close to my home country.
Leven de koningin.
No, our Dutch is not very good. We're both wives of Dutch men.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You know, but we're here every year. You know, the Canada Day of Holland.
The marriage basically between Canada and Netherlands is a beautiful relationship.
I went through the Second World War, so after the war, the Canadians, they liberated Holland.
And I was overseas in August of 40, and I was wounded twice, once in Normandy and then again in Groesbeek in Holland.
And I'm aware of the great contribution that the Canadian Armed Forces made in the liberation of the Netherlands and in feeding the people who were starving at that sad time.
There's nothing but praise for us guys. There's nothing but praise.
The anniversary, it's 70 years since the war ended, and I'm tickled pink to be here.
The Dutch, they love the Canadian because Canadians liberated the Netherlands.
For me, it's helping out my Dutch friends because I'm from Belgium. I'm not a Dutch person, so it's not my holiday today. But since I also speak Dutch, obviously, it's my mother tongue as well. That's why I come and help them out with pleasure.
More appreciation of each other and of their cultures, right, and traditions. I am Hungarian.
You see, every man or woman who dies is one too many, but in those days, if you talk about the Battle of the Scheldt, it's 1,500 people. In total, there are 7,600 Canadian graves in the Netherlands.
I'm Dutch. And Black Watch.
And Black Watch.
I was in the army twice. I was by the Marines in 53, and in 56 I was by the tanks.
For me, it's very important because of my Dutch heritage. Both my parents are born and raised in Holland, and it's so instilled in me for so many years, and I'm very proud to be here and be part of the Dutch Committee as well, and meet all these wonderful Dutch people, all these wonderful, happy Dutch people wearing orange.
The spirit of celebrating the King's birthday for Dutch Montrealers sometimes boils down to a night of sliced fresh herring, platters and platters of it, and sharing with the community at large. My name is Fred Jansen, and that night it was my pleasure to do the honors.
If Fred smelled a little bit like fish today at work, you can partially blame me because we enlisted him to be in the herring cutting committee, and it is the stinkiest fish imaginable, but he insists that it's delicious. I can't bring myself to try it.
We Dutch Canadians living in Montreal are so lucky to be neighbors and friends of those who liberated our home country, the Netherlands, 70 years ago. Canadian soldiers were amongst the first to come to the aid of a starving population, driven to eating tulip bulbs to survive. Ever since then, the hearts and minds of Dutch citizens, young and old alike, are married to the memory of, and to today's Canadian veterans, our liberators. The women and men of the Canadian Forces will always be in our hearts, and so every year on the King's birthday, which is celebrated wildly in the Netherlands, we host Montreal's veterans to sip a few Heineken, share stories, wear the national colours in all shapes and designs, and have a wonderful old time. All Canadian veterans are invited, and we honour them all. This year, a new Dutch frigate docked in the old port, and the vets were invited on board for a wonderful dinner and concert. Getting together with our fellow Montrealers in the name of King Willem-Alexander on Koningsdag is something we hope will be a lasting tradition that will stretch into a long future of peace and harmony, hopefully around the world. One that will never know the devastation that the last century wrought, but that bound Canadian and Dutch peoples together in everlasting love.
We as Dutch love the Canadians, forever will love the Canadians. And I think the Canadians have a very soft spot for us because they were well treated. Over all these years, every time that the Canadians go back to Holland, they have a fantastic time. But we are forever grateful what the Canadians did.
Yes.